Hi guys, it's Theresa of Larkin Design, and I'm here today with my art journal. Now usually I have not been doing voiceovers for these, but last week I sort of came to a realization that I am using some of these art journal layouts sort of to help me heal a little bit and process some things that are, going on in my life and just that I'm dealing with or whatever. And so I thought that I would do a voiceover today just so I could tell you a little bit about my approach. I know that so many of you watch my videos here, and gosh, I appreciate that you guys watch my videos and you comment and you follow along. And I appreciate that some people don't get a chance to hop over to my blog. And I will say this, I almost always have an accompanying blog post to go with each video that I release. I just feel like my blog lets me, sort of share with you some things that I might not have gotten to share with you in my voiceovers or in the video itself. But I realize too that takes time, and time that you might not have. And so I think that I would like to go ahead, when it's possible, to do voiceovers on my art journaling layouts, just so you can hear my approach to these layouts and sort of where my head is while I'm doing these. Last week, some pretty important things came to my realization as I created the layout and as I blogged about it. And so I ended up sharing those on the blog, and I hope that you had a chance to read those. If not, go back and do that. And then today, I'm focusing today on some thoughts that I've had about my healing and my recovery. And so I mentioned last week that I am a survivor of domestic violence and intimate partner violence, and I'm also a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. And so these things will be mentioned in this post and in this video. I mention it from a perspective of art journaling and from healing. I will not share specific details of what happened to me. If you would like to know specific details or would like to discuss any of these things with me, please feel free to private message me. I'm always here. I'm always available to listen. And so for this layout, I was inspired by an artist, and I know I'm going to mess up her name, but I came across her paintings on Pinterest, and her name is Kathe Frage, Kathefraga, and that's a German name. And she does very chinoiserie inspired, which is Chinese wallpaper inspired paintings. And so I wanted to sort of recreate, not really copy, but sort of do my own version of a Kathe painting. And so that led me to I have a little stash of crackle mediums and paints. They're chalk paints, they're acrylic water-based chalk paints. And so that's what I'm doing here. And you saw me put down a craft paper background with gold polka dots, and then I put down a coat of red paint, not over the whole thing, just over the border kind of. And then I added a layer of the crackle medium, let that dry overnight, and then here is a light coat of mints. And you can see that the crackles appeared from the crackle medium. And so I'm just creating the background here right now. And while I was working on this, so I'm just going to talk about sort of where my brain was. While I was creating this, I was thinking about these cracks in this surface. And I have a relationship with cracks. And so bear with me because I'm going to try to explain a little bit of where my mind goes. I know there's a Japanese technique to repair broken dinnerware and broken plates and broken cups, and where they glue it together, and the cracks that are left they fill in with gold. And the idea is to leave the piece worth more than it was before it was shattered. And I have a relationship with that because a lot of people will try to tell you that we're broken people, that things in our lives happen because we're broken, that things in our lives happen because we're human beings and we're the whole sin thing and yada, yada, yada. And I don't want to get into all that, but I have to challenge that. I challenge a lot of things in my life, and that my willingness to challenge all the things that I've heard in my life are what helped me survive. And so I challenge this idea with cracks or being broken as well. And so while I was doing this layout, I thought about my relationship with these cracks. And I know a couple of months ago I was in my therapist's office, and I was expressing to my therapist about how some days it's really hard. And it's one of the reasons why I do this craft, because it is something that makes me so happy and brings me so much joy, right? And I'm able to come here and just be so excited about the products that I'm working with and the things that I'm creating. And I really need that in my life, and I'm so happy about that. But some days I feel like I have just a big crack across my face, because I feel so broken, and I feel like so much has happened in my life. I'm 42 years old now, but what happened to me in the first 33 years of my life. And, that's not even half of my life. That was a lot of hard things that happened. And the cracks in this background made me think about that. It made me think about what I was saying to my therapist that day. And I really wanted to work with those cracks on this surface of this layout, because I wanted to challenge my own thinking about that, and how I think about myself in that. I created these cracks on this layout on purpose with intention, because that was part of the effect that I wanted to achieve, right? I wanted the colors to show through. I wanted to be able to see that red underneath. I wanted to be able to see that mint underneath. I don't know if you really can or not, but it's there. It's there, and those cracks add a really lovely texture to this layout. And I thought about my relationship with what I have always perceived as my own cracks, my own brokenness, and I wanted to just challenge myself on that. And I don't want to sit here and say, oh, well, I had a purpose in creating these cracks, and so there was a purpose in creating the brokenness that's in me, because I'm going to tell you that there's absolutely no purpose in trauma. there is no purpose. You know, people tell me, oh, well, it's what made you strong. There's no person that needs to be that strong. And there is absolutely no reason for some things to happen other than that people were not nice and people made really bad decisions. So I'm not going to sit here and say there was a purpose in what happened. But I do know that just like I can create this beautiful piece right here, I can create beauty in my own life, and I can create beauty inside myself. Whether those cracks are there on purpose, whether they're there because someone was ugly, or whether they're there because they're part of the grand design. I don't know. I don't know if there's a grand design. You know, I know that there is for me on this layout. I know that I sort of have an idea of what I want to accomplish with this layout. You know, I know that I wanted a crackled background, and I wanted to do some of these flowers like this. But life is like that too sometimes. There sometimes is not a grand purpose. Or sometimes the purpose that we thought we had ends up not happening, and we change our purpose. And sometimes we just end up where we are. So that's just kind of where my thought process was as I was working with this. I hope that that's, I don't know, remotely inspirational. If you're feeling like you have some of those broken places in your life, you know, maybe see it as this layout, that it is possible still to create beauty out of those cracks and out of those broken places. I have come to find that the times that I thought I was the most vulnerable were actually the times that I was the strongest. The times that I cried the hardest were the times that I was actually the strongest. You know, people saying, oh, well, you grew stronger out of what happened to you. No, I was already strong. That's what helped me survive. And every one of us is strong. And every one of us is surviving in some way. So maybe that's just a little something for you to take with you today. I hope that it is. By all means, feel free to share in the comments, you know, what your own personal thoughts are about these cracks in the surface, and your ideas on, you know, how you cope with brokenness. And again, if you're a survivor and you just want to chat, feel free to private message me. I check my messages pretty regularly around here, at least hourly. You can ask my husband. I think it's important to talk with each other and to touch base with each other, and we find our tribe this way. So where I am in terms of this layout is that the background is completed, and I stamped some branches, and then I took my modeling paste and added some of these flowers around the page. And now I'm just coloring these flowers in a little bit. I'm using some of my Tim Holtz Distress inks, and you guys know how much I love to use those, and how much I love to move these paints around the page. So I love that the modeling paste creates avenues for these paints to move around. It's just something that makes me really happy when it happens and when I'm able to do this. I'm also just letting them sort of cruise down the page a little bit, just to add a little bit of visual interest. And you'll see I'm sort of doing it differently today. I took a small brush and put the paint inside the flowers and then sprayed them. And let's see, I'm gonna just do this several times here. Now this little texture paste here is a Luxe paste from Faber-Castell, and it's just like modeling paste, but it's a little creamier. And so I'm going to add the leaves here using this texture paste. And you'll see I'm going to do it in two ways. I'm going to do it with this palette knife first. I'm doing that in a couple of places. And then I know that when you wipe your stencil with a wipe, some of that color goes through. So that's the other method that I'm using to apply some of this paste onto the layout. So the leaves are varying thicknesses. There are some that are thick from using the palette knife, and some that are just a layer of color from using the wipe. And this is a cool technique that I've discovered in the past that you can certainly use to vary the dimension on your layouts. I think it's kind of cool. I'm trying not to smash the leaves that I've already put on. But they're pretty resilient as long as you don't mash down on the stencil when you're moving it around the page. It's usually okay. And I did the flowers the same way. I went around the page with one of the smaller flowers and dried those, and then I went around the page with a larger flower, and I did overlap some of the flowers, and some of the leaves overlap a little bit as well. Just some different ways to get more mileage out of your stencils. So you don't have to lay them on the page exactly as they are on the stencil. Okay, so I let those dry, did a little bit of heat tool drying. And I think everything is pretty much dry now. And it's feeling like it needs a little bit of contrast here. So I took my Heidi Swapp Color Shine in Navy and added a little of that around some of the petals and the centers of these leaves. Just add a little bit of contrast here. I don't want to add too much, so I'm sort of being light-handed and sort of, putting color down and then lifting it back up. For a minute I thought I had made a really big mistake there, but you can see when you use the paper towel, it lifts a lot of that color up. I'm still wanting a little bit more, so I'm going to just go with a little tiny brush here and outline some of these. I'm also highlighting some of the stems on the leaves. And I just have to tell you that, this is kind of therapeutic here. just adding little touches with a little tiny brush. It takes a while. And, and it's nothing super artistic here. I am simply following the lines that the stencils have given me here. Just to add a little detail here and there to each of these blooms. And I know there's noises in the background. My husband is on conference call again today, and my cats are in the kitchen with the dog. So that's what you hear in the kitchen on our hardwood floor. So now I'm going to add a little more of the pink as well. And, and this is the fun part of layering these colors onto these layouts. You put a little paint down, and then you put a little more, and then you go back and you put a little more on, just layer after layer. Gosh, I love that. Dry all that a little bit. And now I'm going back with this texture paste here. I'm going to create a sort of frame, a sort of border on this layout using the texture paste. And I'm just using my finger. I'm letting that paste sink into some of those cracks and the texture that's on the background. Just going around the border of the layout, and also some on the main portion of the layout as well, just to add a little bit more texture and a little bit more color to the layout itself. And I think that this gold is what really sets this apart and what really makes this feel finished to me. It's beginning to look done. I'm just lightly working it in with my ring finger here. So now I have a gold finger. Okay, and then I have this quote here from Pinterest. And I sort of decided to rewrite it a little bit. And I'm just using my Sharpie marker. And so what I decided to write was, "You didn't break me, darling. You don't have that kind of power." Alright, that's it for today's layout. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed my little thoughts about how I approached this layout today. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to leave me a like and a comment and subscribe. And then I will see you back here tomorrow with the Project Life 2016 layout. So thanks again for watching, you guys. Bye-bye.